All right, so today's functional group, we're looking at something brand new. We're essentially looking at functional groups that reside in the middle of our carbon chains. So that means, it's not carbons all the way through. As we look here, this molecule right here, other than looking like some kind of bat type thing, uh, we can see that we have two carbons here. That carbon's bonded to an oxygen. Oxygen, 6 outer shell electrons, 2 of which are unpaired, so oxygen can form 2 covalent bonds. So it can form 1 bond to that carbon we already counted. And over on the other side, we have 2 carbons as well, both bonded to these oxygens. And so if I wanted to make this super technical, I could add electrons there. But for the most part in organic chemistry, we're not going to be too particularly worried about that right now. So to name these things, essentially we needed to name each of the chains on either side of the oxygen. So in this case, 2 carbons here, so I have a ethyl over here. 2 carbons over here. We're just going to call that an ethyl as well. All right. So this functional group, by the way, these are called ethers. So if you know anything about medicine at the early 1900s, ethers were used as anesthetics. They essentially knocked you out. These oxygens here are kind of what's important for that. So I have an ether here. I have these 2 ethyl chains. This is going to be about the only time that we're not going to have an AN, an EN, or a YN in it. So to name this, we just name both chains since they're both ethyl. I need to indicate there's 2 of them, so this is diethyl. And then indicate that this is an ether. We just end it with ether. Pretty easy. All right, so if I go over to this one here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, so I have a butyl over here. 1, 2 here, I have an ethyl here. And then just like we did with the functional groups on carbon chains, we went in alphabetical order with what the group started with. We're going to do the same here. And so in this case, where did my mouse go? There it is. B in butyl comes before E in ethyl. So this is butyl, ethyl, ether. Essentially, you're just naming each chain separately. And this whole ending it with ether, that part right there is what tells us there's an oxygen smack dab in the middle of our carbon chain. All right, let's look at one slightly complicated one. All right, first things first, what's on our carbon chain? Well, we can see that as we follow the carbon chain through, we get stopped by an oxygen. All right, so that means that we're gonna worry about this part, and then we're gonna worry about this part first. All right, so I know I'm going to end it with ether, though, because of that oxygen. So in this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a butyl here. But there's something on that butyl group. This 1 carbon here, which is a methyl. I would say to name it for numbering purposes. This isn't butyl. I messed up my naming. That's not a carbon. We actually start here. 1, 2, 3. This is propyl. All right, so to indicate where this methyl group's at, I would say we would just go 1 methyl. Just start naming closest. Pretend that says methyl. No, we can make that better. We're going to do something, might as well do it right. All right, 1 methyl propyl. Okay. Over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a pentyl. And on it, I also have a methyl, but this one's on carbon 1, 2. So 2 methyl. All right, name of this thing is going to get pretty complicated. I would say for the purposes of our class, if we just still went back to, they both begin with P. Go back to what the parent chain is for both of them. So propyl and pentyl, which one comes first? Well, let's go to the next letter. R and E. Pentyl is going to come first. So for this one, let's call it 2-methyl pentyl. Over here, we have 1-methyl propyl. and indicates an ether, we just end it with ether. Alright, so this kind of naming scheme here, kind of confusing. Methyl, pentyl, methyl, propyl. It'd be kind of hard to know what's going on, so I'm probably not going to throw anything that hard at you. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to take it pretty easy when it comes to naming these things, but the big thing is being able to identify, hey, there's an oxygen in the middle of my carbon chain. That must be an ether. If we can do that, I think we'd call it good enough for our class. So with that, happy practicing. Good luck.